Joining me are two communications consultants, Gemma Tognini, a Sky News regular, and Christy McSweeney, who has worked for Coalition Prime Ministers and Premiers. Gemma, how did we get to the position where making judges consider public safety first when considering bail for accused offenders is considered a reform, new, a big change?
Yeah, it's a great question, Andrew. I guess it represents what we know, which is there is always a tipping point. There's always a tipping point. And for a very long time, the bleeding hearts, let me rephrase that. For a very long time, the balance got out of whack. Nobody wants to see kids institutionalised or people institutionalised incarcerated and their lives unable to break that cycle. That's a valid and a worthy thing to keep front of mind. However, where it got out of whack is that in the pursuit to try and achieve that, community safety just got tossed onto the side of the road, and we've got the results that we've now seen in Victoria where people don't feel safe. People don't feel safe, and objectively they're not safe. And the most offensive thing about this is Jacinta Allen is as announcing it and acting it as if she split the atom. Like, it's just extraordinary. Of course, community safe. I mean, the thing about it is this, Andrew, being in our community, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be in our community. We live in the best country in the world. You go out, you commit these crimes repeatedly, there has to be consequences, because when there are not consequences, we end up with exactly the situation we're in now.
It's true. Chrissy, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I heard Jacinta Allen, that Premier there, say 3 times at least, and I really wasn't even paying attention, this change to think of community safety first is just common sense, which makes you wonder, what kind of sense were these guys operating in the 11 years they've had before this point?
Well, the kind of sense they were operating in, Andrew, particularly over recent years, is to keep the green wolf from the door in the northwest suburbs of Melbourne, in seats where progressive policies that don't resonate with keeping law and order in check for a government don't work to secure Green voters and to secure the green balance of power in the upper house for the government. But they've had to toss that aside because of significant community pressure, and it's a police resourcing issue as well, not just the incredibly lax bail laws. Malvern Police Station, huge area, huge community. There's a sign on the door saying we're closed. It closes at 6 p.m, go elsewhere. Brighton, where there's been an absolute spate of youth crime attacks, that reception counter closes at 11 p.m. In fact, the only police station open in that area is St Kilda, which the police have run off their feet 24 hours a day, and the crime is increasing there too, particularly for retailers out on the streets who have to face criminal attacks on a daily basis in shopping centres. And that's different to people carjacking and breaking into your house. They've actually only re-established a law that they scrapped 18 months ago. 18 months ago, the Victorian government took away the ability to call it an offence to when a person is out on bail and they go and commit another offence. They were not automatically locked up for that. They took that away 18 months ago, and this package of laws puts that back. They've reaped what they sowed. And the Premier is certainly under pressure.
We've got to applaud them. We've got to applaud them for bringing back laws they scrapped. I mean, what nonsense.
Thank you for community safety being a priority, government.
Gemma, look, it's weird, with stories like this around, and really terrible stories like war in Ukraine, massacres in Syria, awful stuff. That what really got so many Australians angry, and me too, was an American influencer here having herself filmed stealing a young wombat, a joey, from its mother. Have a look.
Just caught a baby wombat. Look at the mother. It's like, oh, it's chasing after her.
I caught a baby wombat.
We deport
Gemma,
her.
I know she gave the wombat back to its mother, but the reaction she got was so fierce from Australians, she had to set her account to private, which is, of course, death for an influencer. What is the moral here?
There's a lot of interesting research, Andrew, that talks about the sociopathy of people who are deliberately cruel to animals. So I'll just leave that for our viewers to consider. But she should be deported. Like, it's so incomplete. And you know, that's an extreme view perhaps, but I actually don't think it's extreme at all. It is just so utterly offensive. Who goes and takes a baby from its mother, whether it's an animal, whether it's a human? And who's the numbnut, Andrew? Who is the absolute numbknuckle in the car laughing like an absolute halfwit? I mean, who's that? That's an Australian accent. Chuck him in jail. Surely there's some sort of animal cruelty legislation that they have violated. Honestly, I can't use the language I'd like to use. I'd be banned from the network forever.
No, but you put your finger on a few things. What did you make of that, Christy?
I want to make the point that the woman who's captured this baby wombat and undertaken this act, which is really distressing to Australians and to animal lovers, is a biologist. Now, if that is an example of a generation of someone who is educated in natural sciences, there is no hope for us and for a young generation obsessed with social media, Andrew. It's no excuse, no matter what your professional education is, but to come from someone who's an actual natural scientist is absolutely disgraceful.
Hear, hear.
And they actually posted it online. I guess one thing it shows is that how the internet and wanting to be an influencer encourages you to do barbaric things just for the clicks. I don't know.
Does it just expose what's already there?
Exactly.
Or are these people like, honestly, I don't think there's anything, not amount of clicks in the world, Andrew, to make me steal a baby animal. These people are nuts.
Thank you, ladies. I've got to go.
Exactly.
And that's it from me now. Sherry Markson, good night.